Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and I've been talking here on the channel about how James Tynion has really turned around the Batman franchise since taking the reins over from Tom King. And, you know, in my mind, the series has gotten better and better as we've moved along. Obviously, we're getting to the end of the Dark Design story arc that's going to lead kind of into Joker, where I was going to do a review just kind of solo, but there's so much stuff that happens in this comic book that I needed a sanity check and someone to talk about it with. So here with me today to talk about Batman 93 for a spoiler review is my good friend Larry from Larry's Comics. How you doing?
Hey, Wes, thanks for having me on the show. I'm by no means a complete expert on everything that's going on in this storyline, but I've given it a read and I'll try to keep up.
Yeah, so it's been pretty interesting. The big thing that obviously that James Tynion has done since he's come on to the Batman thing is he's introduced a lot of new characters. We got the designer, which is obviously the first big bad. We've gotten introduced to Punchline, although I think her first appearance might have been in Hello Risen, which she also wrote. She's obviously the new kind of sidekick to Joker. 2 weeks ago, we got introduced to the underboss, and we know we got Clown Hunter coming up and stuff like that. So that's one of the big things. And I think some people gravitated more to the designer than I did. I kind of had thought he was just kind of a plot device. But here, finally, we're in this issue. I didn't know that we were going to learn this, but we're going to learn the identity of the designer coming in here. The first half of this comic, it's fun, but it's fairly uneventful in comparison to the last half. And really the big thing is that Bruce Wayne, Batman, explains to the designer what the big design plan was, what Riddler was supposed to do, what Joker was supposed to do, what Penguin was supposed to do, what Catwoman was supposed to do, and the big grand design to take down Batman. And we learned that the reason this all fell apart was because Joker was supposed to kill Batman and Robin and refused to do it. And that's why he ended up burning down the Tartarus house, after the designer, looked Abyss in the eye and went insane or whatever that line was in there. It appeared that Joker had killed the designer, but he had returned in the comic book. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And that confrontation kind of culminates with a sword fight, which felt like it was kind of out of nowhere. Why is Batman carrying a sword? But we do see the designer and Batman going at it on guard with swords. I thought it was pretty good.
DC has to be thrilled that James Tynion has gone from fill-in C-level, B-level writer to this is a true tentpole book. If you consider that Batman ships twice a month, this is outselling Metal. This is the book that people are showing up for. People love the storyline. People love Punchline. Punchline, she got her first appearance in Batman 89, then her first full appearance a week later in Villains United 3. People have really taken to the character. They love her. This issue, if anything, it's a key battle issue. You get a full Punchline versus Harley. It's a great issue. It's great art. Guillem March is an A-level artist, and the art seems a little bit darky, a little more sketchy. But it's a beautiful issue. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but we got to get to the big thing. It's in the thumbnail. I'm promoting the video on this. We do learn the identity of the designer in this, and we're going to talk about the two other huge events that end up happening before this comic book is over. But it turns out the designer is dead, but somehow Joker has reanimated his corpse, or maybe he's a robot, and Joker was behind the designer all along.
Well, here's the line. Jack Nicholson's line. Where does he get all those wonderful toys? Where's Joker getting these wonderful toys? How did he get the memory crystal in Nightwing? How is he animating this corpse of the designer? Does he have a Black Lantern ring? I mean, how is Joker? Is there there's got to be another shooter drop, or where's Joker getting the ability to all of a sudden animate corpses and have them do his bidding? Animate corpses at a high level with consciousness. And this isn't a Joker that we've seen before, or I don't know. It's interesting.
It's definitely a different Joker. This isn't anarchy. This is a well-developed, orchestrated plan that he took from the designer. He took elements of it, kind of orchestrated it to his own purposes, and is executing a new plan obviously we do learn where the ideas from the Riddler having the puzzle within the city and what Penguin's role was and everything. But
that
one
was
of
a
the
red
big,
herring, though.
it was a red herring.
All leading up to this has been a red herring. It is Joker. Joker's behind it all, and he had a different type of plan. What I don't know if it's the co-artists in this issue, but there's a lot of key developments in this issue are very, very sketchy. You know, you'll see them happen on panel, and I mean, you can look at the panel and.
Okay, let's talk about that. This is my biggest complaint about this comic book is that the art is not consistent. I do think Guillem March is a terrific artist. Actually, he's definitely grown on me through this story arc.
He obviously did layouts
Fernandez
in this, and the other guy did the finishes. If you compare the two issues.
Yeah, Javier Fernandez is the other artist. He clearly does the part where Catwoman and the underboss are talking to each other and they're doing some work in there. And we're going to talk about where that leads. So he does that part. So when you go from one page to the next, it feels like you're in a different comic book because they're not very similar. That is definitely my key complaint about this comic book, is the consistency. Although I do believe starting next week is when Jorge Jimenez takes over as kind of the artist for Joker War. So they were probably needed to get this issue in, and maybe Guillem looked like he wasn't going to be able to finish it in time.
Well, it came out quick, we know that Batman 92 was in the can because of COVID, and then 93 just came out. So they're rolling on this. This is an issue that when you see the last page, it's going to get that nerd clockwork going in your head, and you're going to want the next issue. I mean, it's great, but we're talking spoilers here, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're about to get into the second big one. So the designer is Joker. So we do see there's some weird stuff going on with Catwoman that I actually quite enjoyed. Her part in the big original design was she was going to steal Bruce Wayne's money. She was going to steal all of it and become like the richest woman in the world. And that was her part of the plan. And so she's obviously aligned with Bruce now. They almost got married. They're still in a relationship together.
Almost.
But she's almost got married. They're in a relationship together. She's with the underboss. She needs to take all the money from Bruce Wayne's enterprise, which is a bunch of shell companies around the world, and she needs to take it all before the Joker takes it. So she's actually going to go in and grab Bruce's money for him and stash it so the Joker can't get to it because she knows what he's going to do. And so she goes to the underboss. Underboss says, I need the access codes or I can't do this. And she goes, well, I had memorized the access codes a month ago. And he's like, why would you do that? And she goes, I don't want to talk about it. So it does seem like maybe she had other plans in mind. Maybe that's why she had these access codes. But she gives him the access codes. It looks like she has just become the richest woman in the world. And it turns out she's been played by the underboss, and all that money went to the Joker. So there's also a big moment in here, and I'm just as confused as you are on this one. We'd already talked about it, where Punchline comes up and there's a bang right behind Batwoman's head, and then Punchline's holding a gun. Catwoman is slouched over. My assumption is that she capped her in the head, but I don't believe that's what happened.
That would be your assumption, yes, but there's no entry wound. There's two panels. You get a bang. There's no entry wound on Catwoman, and then there is Catwoman slumped over on the floor. There's no blood. There's no wound. Is this just for, I don't know? They showed a throat slit earlier in the issue. I mean, what's the point?
Oh, yeah, we're about to get to that one.
Okay.
So we have seen preview art for Batman 94, and it clearly shows Selina Kyle Catwoman in a hospital bed, like in intensive care, talking to Batman on the phone after she's betrayed him. So she clearly lives.
So it's a non-mortal wound. Thank God.
Yes. So she obviously she must not have been shot in the head unless she, her Catwoman outfit has been reinforced with Batman's Kevlar or whatever he uses to become bulletproof. That was kind of my takeaway. So we do need to get some clarity on that one. But I thought that was a pretty cool reveal. So those are the first two. Well, actually, the second and the third big reveal. The first one is there is a huge fight between Harley and Punchline. We kind of see them go at it. There's a lot of back and forth with quippy comments and everything. And Harley's kind of holding her own. And then boom, she takes a knife to the jugular. and she starts bleeding out of her throat.
Wes, I just hope she survives, though. I mean, it's Harley.
It's touch and go. She might not make it.
I think she's going to make it just fine. I don't know. The source wall's broken. Anything's possible, buddy.
Well, yeah, once it's fixed, maybe it'll all go back to normal.
I want to know how Joker's animating corpses. How did Joker get the mind crystal? How does he all of a sudden have all of these resources?
I want to know that too. And if you know how he could, if he has animated corpses and how he's doing that, from past issues, please let us know in the comment section. But getting back to the Harley versus Punchline thing, so it was pretty fun. But I think they did a good job. You've talked about how Punchline is a popular character. People are kind of gravitating to the character. And this certainly made her feel important. It's made her feel very dangerous. Not everyone gets to go toe-to-toe with Harley Quinn, even with a couple of evil clown sidekicks and, slit her throat and put her on death's door. So they're putting the push behind Punchline and making her seem pretty villainous and quite skillful with the dagger.
People like her because she's visually stunning and, she's billed as Joker's next girlfriend. The weak link in all of this was her origin. I mean, her origin was just generic. She's a fan of the Joker, so she molded herself into, she trained herself into being a, powerful hand-to-hand combatant. I mean, there's nothing to the origin of this character so far. I mean, it's weak stuff. Beautiful visual design, and that's what's got people sucked in. They like it.
So those are the three big reveals. Obviously, the designer is Joker. It was Joker executing his own version of the plan. Catwoman ends up getting, possibly shot in the head. But before that, she stole all Bruce Wayne's money. She thought she was stashing it to keep it safe. It turns out it was going right to the Joker anyway. She has funded his war. And the third one is Punchline has slit Harley Quinn's throat, and she could be dead. Obviously, we know that Harley Quinn isn't going to be dead.
What's the editorial decision here? We can show a clearly slashed throat, but we cannot show a bullet wound. Is that what we're dealing with? There's zero evidence of a bullet wound.
Yeah.
For mystery.
Other than the bang and she's holding a gun. But you're right. There's no blood or there's no exit wound or anything like that. So it is confusing. Very confusing, actually.
Ultimately, it gives you two succulent little nuggets that keep you going. Now we know that it's gonna be Joker versus Bruce Wayne versus Batman without his resources. And how the hell is Joker animating corpses? Is there somebody working with him?
Well, obviously he's got bigger designs. I know you were talking about in the pages of Nightwing. He apparently obtained the brain or the memory of Dick Grayson, rewrote it.
The memory. He's got the memory crystal, and he's rewritten Rick Grayson's memories to be that Dick Grayson, Rick Grayson, parents were killed in the circus, and then instead of being raised by Bruce Wayne, he now believes he was raised by the Joker. So the next issue of Nightwing, we should be getting an evil Nightwing.
Rick Grayson as an ally of Joker. What's interesting, and I talked to you about this before, Ben Percy's final story arc on Nightwing was called The Bleeding Edge, and there's a moment where there's the Worm, the big villain in that one, put this thing inside of Dick Grayson and basically copied his memory. So I wonder if this
be the memory crystal.
Is this crystal that, or is it something else to where they'll be able to undo it by finding this copy of Dick Grayson's brain?
If you copy somebody's memory on a crystal, does that give you the ability to then rewrite their entire origin? Like I said, I don't know. But Joker's obviously amped up in power set or having powerful artifacts. So the hows and whys and nuts and bolts of how that happened will be kind of cool.
I think, definitely the days of the anarchist Joker to where there was no rhyme or reason to what he was doing are over. This is a sophisticated plan that he's executed. He is now going to battle Batman in Gotham City with his own money. And probably, possibly put him out. He has stolen his son, the best man Batman has ever known, Dick Grayson. He's now the understudy of Joker, and he believes that he's basically his ally. Catwoman, obviously got shot. She's in the hospital. We saw that in the next issue. Harley Quinn could be dead. She's had a throat slit. Punchline is on the team, and it's not looking good for Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Gotham City as we head into Joker War. That is the other complaint that I think some people might have. I don't know that I have it as much because I've been more interested in Joker War than I was Dark Design, is that it turns out that Dark Design as a story arc is really prelude to Joker War. This is getting you ready and setting up the stage for what Joker is ready to do by taking Bruce's money, taking out key allies, and then obviously in the pages of Nightwing, putting Rick Grayson underneath him as an ally of Joker. So it turns out this is really prelude to Joker War rather than a fully fleshed out, executed storyline. So people that kind of had invested in the designer might be disappointed to learn that he was dead the whole time.
More than I'm excited about Joker War, I'm excited that James Tynion has leveled up just like Joker. He's gone from CB level creator to A level creator. And you mentioned Ben Percy. I mean, in my opinion, Ben Percy is the James Tynion of last year. Ben Percy is everything that he's doing is being favorably received and seems to be ramping up. You could watch next year for Ben Percy to be potentially an A-list creator. He's on that type of trajectory, in my opinion.
Absolutely, with X-Force, and he's a writer of Wolverine. Hopefully, the next time they do one of these X-Men like big story arcs, he'll be the co-architect with Jonathan Hickman and get an opportunity to kind of lead a big event. It's probably the next thing he needs to do to prove himself.
I think you might have been. I this morning I got up early with my coffee and I read Empire Zero, and I think you may have nailed that out of the gate, my friend. Snooze.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it. I haven't read it yet, but I will be reviewing that on the channel solo tomorrow.
Oof.
So people are going to enjoy that one.
I don't think so.
And also, if you're enjoying these reviews, on Sunday there will be a review for the Green Lantern 80th anniversary, and I believe Dylan from the Real Comic Book Gamer is going to join me as we break that one down, although I'm really excited for that one personally.
It's beautiful. I'm telling you, a lot of the retailers on in your network don't like those $10 DC books. Man, are they beautiful. You if you're a fan of Green Lantern, you can't resist this thing. It's just gorgeous. It feels like you have a tomahawk steak in your hand. I mean, it's like a graphic novel for $10. Just beautiful.
Perfect. Well, I'm excited for that one. All right, Larry, I really appreciate your perspective covering Batman 93. Lots of things happening as we head into Joker War. James Tynion's real first big tentpole event at DC Comics, and we'll see how he does. But so far on Batman, I think he's doing very well.
Outselling metal. James Tynion he's the man.
I agree. Thank you very much, Larry.
Thanks for having me on, West. See you, pal.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.